Hey there, super friends. This is Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Monday, December 18th, 2017. If you want to connect with us on social media, you can friend up our Last Point Gaming Facebook account. You can follow us on Twitter at Last Point Gaming. You can follow me personally on Twitter at Stranger Sparrow, or you can always email me directly at lastpointgaming@gmail.com. Damn it. Oh well. Keep striving, right? So it's Monday, which means usually I do the FNM Report, so I'm going to start there, and I guess we'll see where that goes. I do want to point out, after watching the Versus video today, and having observed Todd Stevens on the Versus series for the past several weeks since he's, I guess, a couple months, I don't know, time. How does that shit work? Since he's joined the Versus series team, I think if I ever see him at an event, I'm just going to set my deck down next to him for just a little bit. Like 5-10 minutes should do it. Enough for that positive go-getter attitude that Todd Stevens has to just kind of seep into my deck a little bit. To where my deck even goes, yeah, guys, we can do it. Because my God. And understand, I'm not saying that he's not a skilled player, that, luck gets him everywhere. No. He makes a lot of very complex decisions. It is amazing how when you're a security vehicle, it's dark outside and your headlights aren't on. What the actual, what? Anyway, back to what I was saying. His ability to pull that one card every time, or not every time, but quite a lot of the time, where there's only one card that'll do it, is just amazing. But I did get to experience that at FNM this week, so it's not really how I was going. Like, I wasn't even trying to tie it in. Actually, I just watched them on the Versus series this morning, and poor Ross. They were playing Pauper decks. I do recommend you go check it out. I'm not going to tell you who came out ahead or anything like that, but I will tell you, Todd Stevens was playing Pauper Tron and still managed to have Tron every game by turn 4 at the latest. And Ross is like, how? What? No wonder you play Tron. Oh, it was great to watch. But anyway, back to the FNM Report. This week I went 3-1. Respectable. I did use my banked credit on Saturday then. And then with more money that wasn't banked credit, we bought a box of Unstable. The foil full art lands were supposed to be at foil mythic rarity, which puts them at about 2 per case. I'm starting to doubt that. Everybody I know that's opened a box has opened a foil full art land, which, don't get me wrong, I am by no means complaining about it. I think that's great. I think it's great if they put one in each box, at least. Yeah, that's fantastic. So again, that's not a, well, what the hell, Watsy? Jerks. That's more of a, I think they're more common than people think, which is pretty awesome. They are very nice looking. I'm starting to warm up to the look of these lands. We have opened 50 packs. 1 box, 4 drafts worth, because 2 for me and 2 for Boo, and then 2 prize packs from one of those drafts. So I think it's like Plains we have 11 and Swamps we have 9, and the other 3 we have 10 of. So I do have 10 mountains to put in my Rammy Red deck. So I'm thinking about it. I'm considering it. I'm not sold yet. But in any case, so that was fun. We got to open it. Did get a land in all 36 packs. I think it's Steam Flogger Boss takes the place of a land in a pack. Because, sure. So there are some unlucky boxes out there that have a number of packs that have Steam Flogger Boss, and those packs won't have a land. I don't know. Maybe the card wasn't actually printed. I don't know. Unsets are wacky fun, and they do a lot of weird, bizarre shit with them. So, we have all 4 of the extremely slow zombies. We have all 4 of the Novelemental? That sounds... I don't know. All 4 of the amateur... however you say that second word that begins with an A. All 4 of the Beast in Show. All 5 of the Sneak bases. Though I was looking at it, and the amateur thing is white. The Novelemental is blue. Beast in Show is green. Zombies are red, or are black. So what was in red that there were different copies of? I have to go back and try to find it now. Because they couldn't leave a color out, right? Right? That they wouldn't do that. But as far as what did we pull from this box, we did pull an Urza, so that's exciting. We pulled a Spike, which meant we keep that Spike with the collection, and I gave Boo the Spike she got from the FNM draft for her little collection. I don't know what she does with those cards, and I kind of don't want to know, because if they're not being kept, nice in a binder and everything, as young children are not prone to do, then I don't want to know. I don't want to know. But yeah, nothing in the value in the set's really worth anything, so the lands were the most exciting part. Yay, each pack had a land. I think we have the full set of 9 double face tokens. So that's pretty cool. But so I went 3-1 at FNM. Lost round 1 of all rounds. Which is nice. I just get the loss out of the way quick. The pressure's off. I'm like, okay, we're not 4-0 this week. Okay. Lost to Discount Ryan Reynolds, also playing Rami Red. Though his is a little bit more of a stock build. Which mine's pretty close to the stock build, honestly. It's mostly the sideboard that's different, that, there were certain cards that I'm like, this card is worthless to me. I never, ever put it in. I never use it. Why is it here? Let's just get rid of it. Or, I run the Fiery Cannonades because tokens were definitely a thing around my LGS for a hot minute. There were tons of them for a while. We had 10 players this week at FNM, which was somewhat sad. Of course, at the beginning of the night, we were talking about it, how the week previous, we had 34, and if you don't count the 6 that did standard constructed, we had 28 for the unstable draft. And here we are the next week, we have 10 players. And I commented that the format's garbage. People are so fed up with this format. Because again, Kaladesh has been warping the format since it showed up. So it's been the Kaladesh format since Kaladesh rolled out. So it's not even we're in the Ixalan format now. Everything's Ixalan. And no, it's always been Kaladesh since it showed up. Rotation just made that more prevalent. And there's not a lot of hope that something's gonna come out to shut it down, because again, at this point, if in the next set there would be something to interact with your opponent's energy reservoir, it really wouldn't make sense, and we're past where the rotation cutoff's gonna be. So then you'll end up with a format with these energy sink cards with nothing to target unless you make it some kind of, target player loses all counters on them, which that would be awesome. That would be amazing. Because then it would also, it would be the final death nail for Infect, I think. Infect hasn't been doing so great in Modern lately. But again, Modern's kind of like a wheel that keeps ticking just a little bit. That, these two decks get on top of the format, and then everybody puts in sideboard hate that takes care of them, and is also compatible with the rest of the field, which leads them to lose their advantage, and then two more decks come up to, bubble up to the top, and then sideboards change to combat them harder, pushes them out of favor, and it just keeps churning. So, if Infect would get hype again, Solemnity would just take over. Any deck that could accommodate the white would do it, and there you go. So, I don't know. Well, and if, they printed something else too. There are definitely ways to combat Infect. But it's another one of those things you really can't interact with the poison counters once they're on you. You can only try to prevent them. And this is what makes Infect actually, mechanically speaking, somewhat less broken than Energy. Is, I can kill your Bristling Hydra as it enters the battlefield. If you don't have the energy to save it, but you still get the 3 energy. I can kill your Whirler Virtuoso as it enters the battlefield, but you still get the energy, so the next one just has that much more energy. The mechanic's just not very balanced. Like, if there would be some kind of trade-off, like creatures that gave you energy, then when they died, like, if this creature leaves the battlefield, you lose X energy, where it's the amount that the creature brought in with it, or something like that. But again, eventually you run out of kill spells, But in any case, so yeah, I think the format's pretty bad right now, and that's probably part of the reason we're seeing such a hit on our numbers. I'm not gonna lie, Standard has been going downhill since Cons. Like, Cons was the last really fantastic block. And since then, and I get it, they're trying to undo 20 years of power creep, and they're trying to kind of undo it all at once. And I don't know, it just doesn't feel as good as it did back then. Oh my. Okay. So I had made a comment about, format's garbage. And Bolus said, no, it's because GP New Jersey's this weekend. Which, to be fair, GP New Jersey is within the kind of acceptable travel range of most of our grinders. And that is where I do know a fair portion of my buddies were there. I did not watch any coverage. I did not. Not only was I busy, but I talked about this on Friday. It's WotC commentary, and it's WotC commentary on Limited. Just nothing about this is appealing to me. So it wasn't even worth it to try to see if I could spot my buddies playing. But, okay, so GP New Jersey, it's a reasonable excuse why some of our numbers would be down. But this actually gets interesting later in the story here. So, round 1, lose to discount Ryan Reynolds, just spectacularly, actually. Game 1, I started out, super strong, and then I kind of fizzled out. He killed my shit and took over. And then Game 2, I just never really even got going. I kept a bad hand. I knew it was bad when I kept it, and I was like, screw it. This is 2 lands away from being great. Well, I know better than that. The vast majority of the time, I do not top deck like a boss. I did get to this week, though. I'm coming to that. So, DRR just took it down. But if I had to lose to somebody that night, like it to be him, he's just like a super nice, happy guy. Like, he's just great. Like, when I was deboarding, I sideboarded in magma sprays and fiery cannonades. And he's like, whoa, what's that? And like, we were talking about it and everything. And I told him why I run the cannonades in the board and everything. And he's like, yeah, man, that's great. If you could have gotten one of those off. I'm like, yeah, well, that's how it goes. Sometimes the heart of the cards just isn't with you. And that's how it is. But yeah, I lost to him 0-2, like, soundly. I mean, he made good decisions. He thought through his turns, even though, like, I was on nothing but air. He's still, if I had traps, he did not play into them. Or, he did not play in such a way that I would have been able to spring them on him. I just didn't happen to have any traps anyway. Like, he probably could have taken me down a little faster if he played less conservatively, but it honestly, it was the safe route to play. Because the mono red mirror is generally, when both opponents are gassed up to a full tank, is generally about who blinks first. That's who loses. So he did, he stayed on top of his game and everything. He didn't really need to, but he didn't know that. Round 2, I played against Judge. I don't actually recall what he was playing. I know that may sound kind of weird, but I think it was Teamer, but I'm not like 100% sure. That round just kind of, I blitzed through him. He flooded both games, and I hit the ground running both games. And I think we were bullshitting about, oh yes, I remember what we were talking about. We were talking about the community drama. I just want this to go away. I really, really do. I just want to not even look at it anymore, but it's not going to stop. Yeah, so I wasn't really paying attention, I guess. So that round's kind of a blur. Round 3, this is where some things tie in here. So, I played against Bolus round 3. He was on some kind of ramp deck. He seemed to just ramp into big dinosaurs. I don't know what the strategy of the deck is. It didn't look familiar to me. Like, I couldn't say, like, oh, yeah, I think I saw Terran stream a deck like this, and maybe Saffron Olive did a deck like this, because, as I've talked about before, I don't actually watch that much of his content. Like, I try to read articles when I see him, but as far as the videos, I don't watch him very often anymore. That's come down to, I only have so much time in a day, and, like him, I can actively watch him, and it's not a problem. It's when I try to listen to him while I'm doing something else, and the, like, peaks and valleys in the cadence of his speech pattern, like, just disrupts my whole thought process. So it's not something I can put on and kind of listen to while I'm doing other things. So I don't know what this deck was, but game 1, he won the die roll, and he flooded. And I just blitzed right through him. Game 2, he was on the play, and there was a little more back and forth. It's just like, and I did feel kind of bad, is like, I had a Chandra out. I had a Chandra and a Hazaret, and I have a second Chandra in my hand. So he Vraska's Contempts the Chandra. I'm like, alright, cool. Play out the other Chandra. Then he decides to hit the Hazoret. Well, by then I've drawn the second Hazoret. And like he gets out a Carnage Tyrant and swings and kills the Chandra. It was at 7 counters. That's cool. I play out my third Chandra. I swing into him and I knock him down to 1 life. And he had a second Carnage Tyrant. I think, I'm trying to remember how all this went down. Oh, I don't think I swung with the Hazoret. I had him at 1 life, and I left him there for a short period. He must have killed the other Chandra, and I didn't want to sack any of my lands because I only had 5. So I don't even think I had ruins at that point, honestly. So all I've got on my board is this Hazoret. So rather than swing into his Carnage Tyrant, I hold her back. I hold her back. And I have the Chandra. I activate and knock him down to 1. So he plays the second Carnage Tyrant. Swings in with the first one, kills my Chandra. the unsummoning sick one. I'm trying to remember what he hit with Vraska's Contempt. Oh, I had a Rampaging Ferocidon. No, that couldn't have been it. No, he must have swung into the second Chandra. I have the third one on board. I'm trying to remember exactly how it all went down because we... Sorry. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Oddly enough, it's not the smoking. I had water go down the wrong way. Anyway, sorry about that. So we end up in the board state that he's on his turn, he swings in with the 2 Carnage Tyrants. Taking me to 6 life. He hits the Chandra with Vraska's Contempt, taking him from 1 life to 3. But he hits the Chandra, not the Hazoret. Then he plays out this 6/4 dinosaur with trample. No hexproof. I don't remember what it's called. But it's a 6/4. Enters the battlefield. He gains 5 life. So he goes from 3 life from the Vraska's Contempt up to 8 life. And he thinks he has me dead on board. Like, that's it. There's nothing I can do to get around this because, of course, his summoning sick dinosaur stays back to block while he had attacked with the 2 Carnage Tyrants, knocking me down to 6 life. I have to win this turn. Because with everything having trample, I can't even put out enough, being that I'm empty-handed, to soak up enough damage to live through another swing. So, what do I top deck? A Glorybringer. Just straight up off the top of my deck, slam it into play, swing, exert, kill his blocker, swing for 9. So I get why this was, like, really frustrating to him, because he thought he had me. Why you swerving, friend? I don't know what you're doing, and it makes me nervous. It's a little early to be this drunk. Note, I am not drunk. I'm talking about the car in front of me that seems to be bouncing between the white line on the shoulder of the road and the yellow line down the middle of the road. It's making me a bit nervous. Anyway, so I top deck and I kill him, and like he flips his shit mildly. It's definitely not the worst tantrum I've ever seen, but he did not take it well. He scribbles the drop on the slip, and he's like, I'm so done with this format. I can't fucking take this anymore. Going on about how awful the format is, which is where we started at the night. And I said, yeah, format's terrible. That's why nobody wants to play this garbage. And he's like, no, it's because it's GP New Jersey weekend. So I do what I do when, met with aggression that I want to diffuse, and I apologize. And to his credit, he's like, no, it's not your fault. It's not you. But I could come in here and play mono red. He did play mono red for a couple weeks. Well, at least 1 week, and I demolished him. He didn't have very much success with that deck either. So, in any case, he rage quits. I excuse myself to the restroom, and I come back out, and I'm like, so is he gone? Because I really want to smoke, but I don't want to go outside and have him continue to freak out. One of our players was disquieted by this display. I'm not going to mention who, because more and more of the locals are listening, and I don't want to put a target on anybody. And I talked to this player, and I diffused as much as I could, and he's not normally like that, and I don't know if maybe he's stressed out about work or home or something, but I understand and I appreciate that, I appreciate your concern, but it's all good, it's all fine. And this player's like, well, people really shouldn't be acting like that, and he's right. If it wasn't all regulars and such a small group, I may have made a little more effort into dude, you need to stop. But it was all regulars. There wasn't new players for him to scare or whatever, which is probably why he felt more comfortable going off in the fashion that he did. And then round 4, I played against Carnage Tyrant, and that will forever be his name now, because he is the surprise Carnage Tyrant guy. He's the 1 week I thought he was on Teamer Energy, and then he destroyed me with surprise Carnage Tyrant. And he was kind of extra nice to me. I think he felt bad about what had happened the round before, because I got we had 3 Ramunap Red players, and he's like, well, I think you play that deck the best, and it was a good night and everything. But kind of the end point I want to hit there, just be careful how you act in your LGS. Even Bolus and I were friendly and everything, so there wasn't much reason for him to be concerned that he was really going to do any damage to me, particularly with when he went off. But if there had been newer players there, if there had been players that weren't as comfortable in our community, this could have been a lot worse, and may have had to have a lot more action taken. And you have to think about those things, that even if your opponent is somebody that you're friendly with and everything, and that they're not going to take it personally, you have to consider the other people around, and this is the kind of thing they talk about when they talk about toxic LGS communities and everything, is players acting in a way that may intimidate other players. So that's all I got for you today. As always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow.